Open closed principle. Open closed principle states that any class should be open for extension but closed for modification. And so let's see what open closed principle means. So let's say I have a class called payment processor. So payment processor, and in my application I can have different payment methods. So one method can be through PayPal, and another method can be through, let's say, Stripe. Now in future, if I have a requirement that I need to add a new payment method that is like, let's say, X. So if I have to add a new payment method called X, in this scenario, the problem is that I need to keep on modifying this payment processor class. So let's say I need to add another payment method Y. I need to again modify this payment processor class. So the problem here is that I have to keep on changing this class, and this can introduce new bugs. Maybe the code that I've already tested, now I'm again changing the code, and that can introduce new bugs. So open closed principle says that instead of modifying the class again and again, if we have a new requirement, then we can extend the class. So we can extend the class and then we can add new payment methods. So let's see what I mean by this in code. So let us create a new file called ocp.ts, and quickly in our package.json, let us do ocp.ts. So let me paste a bad code example first. So this is a bad code example. So here, payment processor class, and inside this there is a process payment method which accepts a type, and if type is PayPal, then certain PayPal logic will run, and if the type is Stripe, then certain logics will run. Now in future, if I have to add a new, let's say, new type called X, then I have to again keep on modifying this class. And again, if I have to add Y payment method, I have to again modify this class, which is a bad practice, and this violates open closed principle. So instead of modifying this payment processor class, we can extend this class to add new requirements. So how can we do that? So let us comment this out, and now let us transform this bad code into a good code that follows open closed principle. So you can see that there are different payment methods. So what we can do is we can create an interface for payment method. So interface payment method, and we can add a method called process. So now whichever class that implements this interface should mandatorily implement this method. So in this way, so let's say I want to add a new payment method called PayPal. So what I can do is I can create a new class called PayPal, and this PayPal will implement the payment method that we created, and it should mandatorily now implement this process method. So process, and we can add the PayPal processing logic right here. So let's say processing PayPal for now. And similarly, if I want to add another payment method, I can simply create a new class by saying, let's say, Stripe, and I have to implement the payment method, and I can write a logic for that specific payment method. Now here, let us create a base class, payment processor, that will use this payment method interface. So class payment method, and let us add a process payment method, and which should take payment as an argument, which is going to be of type this interface. So payment method, and we can call the respective process method for whatever the payment method that is being passed to this object. So in this way, now let us, why this is showing squiggly line? Okay, it says we are never using this. So okay, so now let us implement one of these payment methods. So let's say I want to process PayPal. So to do that, I can create an object for this payment method class. So payment method, so const payment method equals to new payment method. So we have created an object, and inside this I need to call the process payment method, and I need to pass an object of, let's say, PayPal. And okay, the name should be payment processor. Sorry for the typo. And this should be the object of payment processor class. Now, since we have passed PayPal object, so this should run this logic. So let us do npm run start. So npm run start and processing payment. So we can see that in future, if I need to add a new payment method, then I can simply create an individual class, implement this payment method, and pass the object in this process payment method, and I can run that payment method. So in this way, I'm not changing this payment processor class again and again. So by this, I am not violating open closed principle.